Hello, Dr. Preston. My name is Parker Cannon, and I'm doing an overview of leadership analysis of John F. Kennedy. The name John F. Kennedy is one of the most recognizable names for not only a president, but any public figure in American history. And despite his popularity, many fail to realize his exceptional leadership skills that propelled him to the success and achievements he earned in his shortened life on Earth. He came from a highly successful family, born on May 29th, 1917, in a neighborhood outside of Boston named Brookline. Kennedy grew up with 8 total brothers and sisters and faced many challenges regarding his health. But despite these challenges, he grew up to attend Harvard University, as well as becoming a lieutenant commander in the Navy, captaining PT Boat 109 in World War II. Kennedy's wartime service made him a hero, and shortly after, he joined politics, serving in the House of Representatives from 1947 to 1953, and in the U.S. Senate from 1953 to 1961, before becoming the youngest person ever elected president at the age of 43. A variety of practices and theories go into leadership as a way for individuals to get extraordinary things accomplished. The model of the 5 fundamental practices of exemplary leadership was constructed by Cowles and Posner. The first practice, challenging the process, means being willing to step into the unknown. This includes being willing to innovate, grow, and improve in various situations. JFK was one of the first presidents to ask Congress to approve $22 billion in order to fund the Project Apollo, which was the name for the space race project, in hopes of being the first country to put a man on the moon. When he came into the presidency, the United States was falling behind the Soviet Union in this race. However, he challenged the process and increased funding, ultimately beating the Soviet Union in the space race. He said, "No nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space." The second practice is inspiring a shared vision. Through inspiring a shared vision, leaders challenge others to exceed the status quo, to do something to enable others that they could not do otherwise. This was seen in Kennedy's founding of the Peace Corps, which was a large international effort that involved third and first world countries alike. Through Kennedy's leadership and him inspiring a shared vision for peace and friendship, the Peace Corps was a vessel to develop a relationship with countries and a way for the needs of those less fortunate to be met. The third practice, model the way, is the next leadership practice. Kennedy stood on the belief that Americans should transform into something better. Model the way leaders have to be clear about their own values and philosophy in order to express their voice to others. I believe this was best exemplified in his condemnation of the U.S. policy regarding Palestine. He modeled the way for foreign policy by condemning the reversal of current U.S. policy toward Palestine, and expressed his voice and made changes where he felt was best needed and was best fair for all countries. The next practice, enabling others to act, was the most vital practice that Kennedy used as a leader. It was most vital because at the time of his presidency, the civil rights movement and the racial tensions in America seemed to be at a breaking point. Part of enabling others to act, leaders need to foster collaboration between people to obtain the best solution. A historic collaboration effort between John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. was accomplished to settle the racial explosions and riots in Alabama, as well as across the U.S. These riots came after the desegregation laws allowed colored people to attend public institutions. After widespread violence, Kennedy made leadership decisions alongside King to meet the needs of people who were facing racism and violence, and to stop the riots while enabling the colored population to gain more freedoms and act more freely. The last practice is encouraging the heart. However, even though he enabled others to act, he did not encourage the heart very well. Encouraging the heart means rewarding others for their accomplishments, and I feel as if Kennedy did not provide any rewards to people during this time as president, because the rewards were where the country is going and the fruits of his presidency and the policies that he enacted that America benefited off of. Qualities. As leaders do vary in styles and strengths, it is possible to pinpoint these strengths and personality traits that map out your specific style. through tests like DISC and StrengthFinder. For the DISC, I speculate John Kennedy was an elevated DI, which means he possessed elevated dominance and influence tendencies in his leadership. This was seen in his efforts to put America first on the world stage in all categories, including achievements like the moon landing, economically, and militarily. These DIs tend to be direct, and they also work closely with people around them, creating a highly motivated team. As for the StrengthFinder, I would best describe his top traits that make up Kennedy's leadership style being focus, command, and futuristic. Focus is coming from the wide range of issues he faced throughout his time in the military and in politics. As he remained focused, he prioritized direction and executed the task time after time. Next is command. This leadership trait can be best seen through his time in the military. As captain of PT Boat 109, during the Japanese attack, their boat was destroyed, and despite his own injuries, Kennedy commanded his crew on the task at hand and led all survivors to safety. Lastly is futuristic. This was presented in his vision for the future. He was highly concerned for the future of America as well as the world during his time as president. And he put in place numerous public policies and organizations like the Peace Corps in order to create a better future for the American people and ultimately the world. In conclusion, leadership is a practice that can have a profound impact on our world. However, many cannot step into the position as president and lead the country as Kennedy did. John F. Kennedy was a president that came into the office with a lot of issues on the country's plate, like the Cold War. He inspired people across all generations in his leadership, and he pushed the limits of what a president can do and faced all his problems head on. Unfortunately, Kennedy's presidency was cut short with his assassination on November 22, 1963. But despite his leadership position being cut short, he made a legacy as a president, a military man, a father, and a leader that is still studied and analyzed today. Thank you for listening. Have a nice one.